Good afternoon. I am Andrea Chisholm with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. More test results are expected today on persons showing symptoms linked to COVID-19. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa Mackenzie says once the confirmatory test results are received, the country will be notified. Dr. Bisesa Mackenzie says there will not be a repeat of yesterday's incident when the preliminary test results were released. Speaking today on the morning agenda on Power 106, she also responded to the call from the head of the World Health Organization for countries to escalate testing. She says public health teams are dispatched in communities and only those with symptoms are being tested. Those who had contact with persons showing symptoms are self-quarantined. And amidst the mass closure of businesses and offices, the Chief Justice is insisting that courthouses will remain open. In a message to staff, Brian Sykes explained that operations would have to continue to, among other things, facilitate hearings for individuals arrested under laws dealing with the COVID-19 crisis.
In a national crisis, a responsible judiciary is not only required but absolutely necessary. We have to bear in mind that there are many persons who are relying on the courts to remain open and to provide access to justice. I fully understand and appreciate the fear and anxiety of persons within the courts, but we must not give in to fear. We must find out what the facts are, examine the evidence carefully, make decisions based upon careful thought and planning.
Chief Justice Sykes adds that the Court Advisory Committee on COVID-19 will meet this afternoon to decide on further protocols.
Look at our operations and determine whether any of it can be done off-site, and if so, then that will be implemented. If not, then the courts will operate, but we'll look at how the staff is deployed, whether we have a rotating staff. All of these are matters that will have to be considered. So the point that I'm making is that the courts will remain open, but tomorrow at 1:30, the COVID-19 Advisory Committee will be meeting and reviewing what we have done to date, what adjustments will need to be made in light of the most recent development.
One member of the legal community has given mixed reviews about the government-imposed measures to reduce the spread of COVID-19. Speaking on Radio Jamaica's Beyond the Headlines on Monday, attorney at law Clyde Williams insisted more can be done. Details in this report.
On Monday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness outlined several restrictions on gatherings in public spaces as parts of efforts to contain the spread of the coronavirus. But attorney at law Clyde Williams says some of those measures are not in keeping with international law. Mr. Williams argues that while the restrictive measures are necessary, the government could have done more by using the 4 months of experiences from other countries with the first outbreaks of the coronavirus. He was speaking on Radio Jamaica's Beyond the Headlines on Monday.
A lot of the measures are good measures, but I don't get the sense that they're being guided by the 4 months of international experience we have as to the trajectory of the virus in a community. So I don't think the government has gone far enough. The countries that have done well have been very aggressive up front. You recall in Wuhan in China, it is the epicenter, but notwithstanding this part of the example, they closed off 11 million persons very quickly.
He added that there are limitations to this approach, but the effects will be seen soon.
The 12 cases in our country, what percentage is that of the number of tests administered? 1. 2, how many tests have been administered? If we have low testing, then the numbers will be low. In all the countries, there's been exponential increase in 3rd and 4th week after the first determination. So I just saying that I know the Jamaican community well. I don't see these measures being enforced to the level that we want them to be.
And he noted that persons have been questioning the government's approach to tackling the outbreak of the virus in Jamaica.
The kinds of actions don't match the kinds of things that have been going on elsewhere. I think we have been a little bit too soft. It's kind of asking people to volunteer to do things and so forth. That's the kind of thing that I think many people will interpret it. I think the numbers, it's 12 in 1 week of testing. Is 1 week of testing we have done, and we have gone 12, and we have, I don't know how many numbers we have tested. In the third and fourth week, I expect exponential development. But again, as I said, it's too tepid. Should have been a lot more aggressive.
O'Shane Masters for TVJ News.
Councillor of the Huendon Division, Andrew Harris, is urging calm as news surfaced that a family has been quarantined in the division.
We have a family in Pembroke Hall that has been quarantined by law. They're observing all the laws as it relates to quarantine. They have not violated as such. I'm asking you please to stop and just dispel from spreading those dangerous rumors that are being spread on the family, right? The mother, she has not made contact with her daughter since she arrived in the island. So there's no way she could have, got the COVID-19 virus.
They are expected to remain in home quarantine for 14 days as a precautionary measure. Mr. Harris noted, however, that they will need food and other items.
I understand that just today, people saw members of their family shopping and they're running out of the supermarket. Come on, people, we can't be doing that. Remember, these are our neighbors. We can't leave them to die. The virus is like any other virus. It's just a little bit more hyped, and we know it can kill you. But the regular flu virus does the same. It kills how many thousands of persons each year.
He is therefore appealing to citizens to stop spreading rumors about the family.
No one, and I repeat, no member of the family has been tested positive for COVID-19 at this point in time. None of them. So we have no need, and we don't need to be spreading rumors. It is not so. None of them have the coronavirus.
And with COVID-19 forcing some Jamaicans to temporarily stop working, the government is expected to outline the way forward on leave entitlement. Trinidad and Tobago, for example, is seeking to implement pandemic leave for all public officers who are not eligible for sick leave. It would also apply to parents who do not have anyone to take care of children since school is out. The matter was put to Prime Minister Andrew Holness at a press conference yesterday.
Issues that have to do with the economic side of things will be addressed Thursday and Friday. So the issues that have to deal with leave entitlements, we have resolved some of them internally, but we want to broaden that to give guidance to how the private sector should treat with it and to have a thorough review of the laws that apply.
And it's time for a break here on the Midday News, but stay with us. We have more stories right after these messages. Welcome back, and we're continuing the news. Barbados today confirmed its first 2 cases of the coronavirus. A 48-year-old visitor and a 39-year-old woman who is a national both came from the United States and tested positive for the virus. Health and Wellness Minister in Barbados, Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostic, made the announcement during a live broadcast to the nation this morning.
There were among 14 persons tested yesterday. All the others tested negative for COVID-19. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Health and Wellness has initiated the process of contact tracing to identify every individual who came into close contact with these patients. These persons will all be placed in quarantine for 14 days.
In the meantime, he noted that measures are now in effect to contain the spread of COVID-19 in Barbados.
All public gatherings such as sporting and cultural events or any event that attracts crowds will be restricted to 100 persons. Visits by members of the public to all public and private geriatric institutions are suspended until further notice. Visits to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital are restricted to protect elderly patients as well as those suffering with non-communicable diseases.
Meanwhile, Italy approved 25 billion euros of spending measures on Monday to help the economy survive the onslaught of COVID-19. This comes as the death toll in Europe's worst affected country jumped above 2,000. The decree throws a financial lifeline to families and firms who face hardship after the government last week ordered a draconian lockdown on the entire country. Underscoring the challenge confronting Italy, the Civil Protection Agency says the death toll had jumped by 349 in the last 24 hours to 2,158, a rise of 19%. However, the number of new cases increased just 13% to 27,980, the slowest rate of growth since the virus first came to light on February 21. Local authorities in one of the worst affected cities were struggling to deal with the surging number of fatalities. And in sports, the Jamaica Racing Commission says it's satisfied with the international best practices in place to ensure a safe race day today and on the weekend. Racing today is expected to begin at 12:20 p.m. Denise Walters reports.
Richard Longmore, General Manager of the Jamaica Racing Commission, speaking at a stakeholders meeting held at the JRC headquarters on Monday, says the Commission is satisfied with measures put in place for 3 meets to go ahead behind the closed doors.
We feel reasonable, comfortable, and confident enough that the measures that the SVRL team has put in is international best practice, what we see happening worldwide, and more so, it will protect the lives and safety of the people at large.
Lorna Gooden, General Manager of Supreme Ventures Racing and Entertainment Limited (SVREL), outlined the steps that have been taken at the track to include no gambling anywhere on the property, no vending, and in terms of personnel, no owners are allowed. Dr. Sophia Ramlal notes that the integrity process that takes place during regular period will continue. She is reassuring that the horse population at the track is fine.
Just allayed affairs, the recent fevers we've had, we have no confirmation that that is corona. In fact, it presents very differently than the coronaviruses that horses get.
Meanwhile, the 10-race program, which had been set for Saturday and Sunday, will now be contested on Tuesday and Saturday, while nominations will be accepted on Wednesday for the program next week, Sunday, March 22. Denise Walters for TVJ Sports.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Join us at 7 for the Primetime News Package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.